So yeah, man. So we had a great topic last week about finding yourself, and that had to spur what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is hustle culture versus self care. We got a nice topic to get into tonight. I've been waiting on this one, man. Got a lot of things to talk about with this. So I'm pretty sure that this conversation will go in a lot of directions. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I am A,
Yeah, this is Jay.
and
We're gonna get this party started.
yes, we are. Yes, we are. But be first, can I thank the man upstairs real quick just for being with us tonight?
Absolutely.
Dear Father, thank you so much for leading and guiding us as you always do, providing this time, allotting this time for us to just talk about issues on our mind and just have real talk. Just talk. Hopefully, that's always inspired by you, that's always rendered by you, and that you are at the hierarchy of. Please let this touch people and just let our voices resonate your words, Father. And just thank you so much for always being a part of our lives, always seeing that we are guided by you and not leaning on our own understanding, but always seeking the kingdom first in all we do. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. So look, man. First off, let me ask you, why did this even come to mind? This
Whew.
hustle culture. You know what I'm saying? Like when yeah, because when you said it, I was like, snap. You know what? Yeah, we do kind of. All right. Yeah, but what made you think about it?
It's almost like the fast pace of life that, and I'll just use me for an example. I'll be 44 this year. I'm 43 years old, and let me just tell you, from 20 to 43 just was a blink. It just went in the blink of an eye,
I know, right?
and it's just like, man, you know what? Finally, at my age, I'm starting to realize what slowing down means and what it looks like, and taking a breath and being responsive versus being reactive, and actually just appreciating what's around me instead of just always on the hunt or on the search for more and more and more, better and better. It's almost like what the Bible says: the flesh can never be satisfied. Well, the more you accumulate, the more that you chase. Once you get it, you're still not satisfied because you're on the chase to the next. And it's just like, when is it enough? When can I stop and just be content? Just enjoy the fruits of my labor? Or is it always just labor? And as soon as you get the fruit, it's not good enough anymore. So it just requires more labor. And that's just where I was at for such a long time in life, just chasing, whether that was women or money or prestige or title or clout or partying, drugs, alcohol, you name it. That was all a part of my story and all a part of my life. And once I attained whatever I attained, it wasn't good enough. I needed the next. I needed the next, and I needed the next. And I never even took a moment to enjoy what I attained. As soon as I attained it, it was on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember buying my first getting my Impala. My man, I just thought I had my eyes on this all black Impala. When I
Yeah.
finally got that all black Impala, I'll just never forget. I was driving for about a week, and a newer model Impala pulled up right next to me. And I looked over and I was like, man, that thing look way better. Why am I discouraged now? I put all this work, all this effort into getting this Impala that I just knew I was gonna love. And I look over just for a second, see a newer model, and now mine isn't good enough.
Right.
And it's just, at that moment, I just remember it because it wasn't as premier. It didn't stand out as much then as when I reflect back and think on it now, like how my joy was just snatched because I allowed it to be by
Mhm.
something material. Instead of appreciating the work that I put in to get what I got and just saying, this is mine. I work for this and this is cool. No. It was cool for a week until that day. So, now I get to sit back and I get to reflect and I get to look back on, just chasing the next thing. And whatever that could be, it could be an idea, it could be a vision, it could be a goal, it could be whatever the case may be. And attaining it and realizing that, you know what, even though I'm here, even though I finally, got to this point, I'm not even appreciated. I'm on to the next point. And luckily, I should say, I'm working on not living like that anymore. And it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. So that's why that stood out to me so much, and just how much doing self care matters. especially as men. I think that that is something that we push to the side, and it's not about our self care. It's about the care of everyone else, whether that's your family, your spouse, girlfriend, whatever the case may be, or just people around you, family, friends that you're supporting. It's very easy to get caught up in doing for others or doing for the next best thing and forgetting about yourself in the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, got a question. What year was that? What year was that Impala, man?
What year was the Impala?
Yeah,
It
was
was
that
a,
Impala, man?
it was a 2013.
Oh man, okay, okay, okay. I had a red '04 Impala.
My fault. That was my Sable. I had a 2003. Remember, you had, yes, I had the 2003 all black Impala. Sorry.
Yeah,
There's a
man.
couple cars that's in there. But yeah, I had a 2003. I remember. And I remember your all red Impala too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Listen, that thing, that man, yeah, man, I treated that car. First off, I washed that car all the time. That car was spick and span, inside out. Even the daggone the under the hood was like cleaned out. Man, that thing was nice. I probably put too much emphasis. Shoot, at the time, that's all I had. So it was like that was my baby. Putting all of that into the car. That's for Impala, man.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. Hey, I had a what I have on that automatic start joint. Man, that thing, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It moved, huh? Yeah, I remember
Man,
that. I remember that.
man, yeah, yeah. But you know what? Like for me, that was my self care at the time. Like that Impala for me was 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 something important to me. It was something that it wasn't the first car I had bought on my own, but it was a symbol of my adulting. You know what I mean? It was a symbol that I had come of age, so to speak. You know, and so for me, it was a symbol of self care. Taking care of that car was like taking care of myself. And so, but it's funny that you mentioned that Impala because yeah, man, I had Impala too, man. I loved it. I loved it.
Man, speaking of hustle culture, I remember. I hope this gonna take you back. I remember what that Impala did for us, and this was us at a, I want to say our early 20s when you were working full time and I was working full time,
Mhm.
and we had the paper route at night.
Yeah. Oh no, you know what? I didn't even have Impala then. That was before my Impala. That
That
was
was, you're right.
that was what I had. I had a
A claim was
it
in
was a
the
it was a Plymouth something. It was yeah, yeah. Was it the claim? No, it was like a Plymouth something. But
Plymouth side,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. But yeah, we would work all day long, and then at nighttime go right down to the post, pack papers, head down
Yeah.
to DC, and start
Yeah. Yeah.
delivering papers, man.
But you know what? And in a way, that's where real talk kind of started.
Yeah, that's when we started
You
started
know,
thinking
because
about it.
that's when we were able to start like really having like deep conversations about life and just about our journey and had them jump out boys.
Oh man, I'll never. Yeah. Oh, y'all the paper boy, man. Mad
Hey,
at us because we doing our job. That was
listen,
crazy.
listen. I mean, it was fun times, fun adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. While it lasted, while it lasted.
Yeah, yeah. But to that point, right? Like you said, because when I had the paper route, yeah, I was working full time doing the paper route, right? I probably was doing 3 jobs at that time and just trying to get it. And I was hustling.
Hmm.
And it's funny because in our culture, we kind of praise the hustle. We praise it.
Yes, yes.
Why? Well, like why is it, it's interesting because we'll praise the hustle, but we don't praise people that don't hustle and just and got it. You know. What's funny? I got 4 boys. And so I look at my boys and I'm like, man, I wish my boys could be trust fund babies. But we kind of looked at those people like in our culture, we almost got like a you got to pay your dues type attitude. And paying your dues means hustle, hustle,
Putting that work in.
hustle hard.
You know, part of that though is how we grew up. I mean, that was a PG County mentality. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
just around the people that we grew up amongst. You know, people with silver spoons in their mouth that just grew up. That had that was the minority. That wasn't the majority. You know, so we respected the people who we most like us that didn't have. And not to say we grew up, impoverished or anything like that, but for someone to come from a family of not just rich family but of wealth was few and far between.
Hmm.
So the more that we've grown out of that area, or I shouldn't say grown out of that area, but moved on from just being absolved of that area, you start to see that no, wealth isn't riches and wealth aren't just a thing of rarity. No, there's a lot of people that have wealth. There's a lot of people that are rich, and there's a lot of people that don't look at that the same way we do or the same way we did growing up. They didn't look at that as a bad thing or a you're not like us type thing. No, once you get out of that environment, you start to see that that's embraced.
Hmm.
That, oh, you know what, your father does such and such. Well, my father does such and such. And wealth is discussed, ideas are discussed. And
Right.
but yeah, the biggest thing that I would say to that point is just the culture that we grew up in definitely shunned, people that grew up privileged, for lack of a better term.
Right. But don't you think, because, well, let me ask you, do you think that that mindset, that hustle mindset, that go get it mentality, that I'm gonna work 2, 3, 4 jobs, I'm gonna go without sleep. Like, I remember there was times, man, when, especially when I moved down to North Carolina, where I was so breadwinner, but I'm working literally like 4 jobs trying to make ends meet, and in between jobs, I got maybe an hour, maybe half an hour. So I go home. I remember literally going home, laying across the bed for 15 minutes, passing out like that, my alarm waking me up, and then I'm like, all right, time to go to the next job. And it's like, but do you think that's a gift or a curse? Do you think that?
Oh, that is a great question, brother. It depends on how you look at it, but I think it can be both.
Mm,
Just depending on how it's used. I know you know my story. Before my divorce, before I even got married, once I proposed, and now it's time to save for the wedding. Now it's
mhm.
and that's after the fact of saving for the ring, et cetera, et cetera. When I'm working 16 hours a day, thinking, you know what, the more I work, the more overtime I can accumulate, the more money I can accumulate. It's work, 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 work. I mean, I remember doing that for 2.5 years straight, 16 hours a day, no days off. And
Right.
I was so fueled by this upcoming marriage. They're so fueled by being able to provide this grand luxurious wedding at College Park, chapel, and then having 400 plus people come to you remember the wedding,
Yeah,
and just being able to say, you know what, hey, I was able to make that happen, and
and it was a beautiful wedding,
it was beautiful. It was an absolutely gorgeous wedding.
and it looked like it cost a lot too.
Man, man, but those 2.5 years of just no days off, and I know what you mean. I mean, you don't even remember how you got home. You're so tired,
Dude,
and you lie down, and that alarm goes off, and you feel like you've been asleep for 10 minutes, and literally you have been. You know what I mean? And it's time to
yeah,
go back. But I guess you know, working that hard let me know that I could work that hard. That
mhm,
didn't that also let me know that that didn't necessarily mean that I should work that hard. Okay, so you can work that hard. You have it in you. You're strong enough. You're dedicated enough. You can will yourself to do that. But is that self care? Are you taking care of yourself in this process? How many times did you black out coming home? How many times could you not remember how you got home or even got to work? How many times
yeah,
did you almost pass out on the job and hurt yourself with somebody else? And all these other things to think about. But nah, you did it though. You did 16 hours a day. Somehow you maintained it. Yeah. It was a blessing I was able to survive that. It was a curse that I thought that that's what I needed to do to be able to provide.
mhm,
The blessing in that curse though was okay, you know what? Now that we know how to work hard, let's start figuring out how to work smart.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now that say that last part, now that we figured out how to, now that we know we could work hard,
Let's
let's figure
figure
out how to
out how
work
to work
smart.
smart.
Yeah. I think that's our challenge. I think that a lot of people have gotten used to working hard, and that's all they know. Work hard, especially in our culture. It's like, we was always told, or at least I was always told, I'm gonna have to work twice as hard to get half as far. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that mindset was always there. It's like, okay, you gotta work hard. You African American male, you got two strikes against you. You gotta work hard. You gotta. There already expectations, and stereotypes set up for
Hmm.
you. So
Hmm.
you got to work hard.
Yeah.
You got to be early. You got to do things that's gonna set you apart. Otherwise, you just you just another one of them. And so, but I think for a lot of people, wow, when I say, when I ask you if it is it a gift or a curse, I know you're saying it's both, but the funny thing is once you know that you can work hard, you work hard. But very few people transition into working smart. And you just start working hard. And I hear this thing in like motivational speakers the and I hear it, and it's frustrating sometimes because they talk about how I'll out they'll have this saying like, you won't outwork me.
Hmm.
And it's like you have The Rock. He'll sit there and be like, I love you guys, but y'all won't outwork.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get up earlier than you. You have Eric Thomas saying you won't outwork me. You have David Goggins saying you ain't gonna outwork me. And then you got all these people saying you ain't gonna outwork me. Well, daggone it. Well, somebody gotta outwork somebody. You ain't gonna keep getting up early. Hey, well, I'll get up at 3:30. Well, I'll get up at 3 o'clock. Well, I'll get up at 2:30. Well, okay, all right, come on now.
And somebody just gonna say, "Well, I ain't sleeping no more." I'm just gonna be all about work.
Right,
There's got to
right,
be an end game.
right. But it's like our mindset is work hard. And if we're honest, that's a slavery mindset. That still goes back to that goes back to, all right, go ahead, pick as much as you pick, be the best cotton picker that you can. Cotton picker, right? Be the best one that you can and work hard for extra scoop of potatoes. You know what I'm saying? It's like work hard, but meanwhile, the people that's benefiting from it, if you look at it, I guarantee you, everybody in Amazon works harder than Jeff Bezos.
Absolutely.
Everybody. I mean, I used to work in one of those warehouses, and I'm like, dude, everybody. But what's interesting about that? It's weird because it feels like the people who work the hardest get paid the least.
That's the truth. The people who work the most and work the hardest get paid the least, which is why they work harder and harder to make more money that is taken away from their lives, from their self care and everything. And that's the system, though. That's the hierarchy of the system that we work under when you work for somebody.
Right.
You start low and you okay, this is the base pay that I make. In order for me to level up, in order for me to branch out, besides a promotion or besides a raise in pay, I've got to put the extra hours in.
Right.
And I'm going to put as many extra hours in as allotted or as I possibly can so I can make the most that I can out of this position with this base pay. And then, 9 times out of 10, we get to that next position, that management position, that supervisor position, and still work as hard. And it's interesting because now you're at a bigger position, which, okay, or excuse me, a higher position, I should say.
Mhm.
Usually that comes with more money, but now you have people to work under you. You know what I mean? That should be taking, some of the duties that you had and responsibilities away. That would, in most cases, say, okay, I don't need to work as hard. Now I have people. I've graduated from that. That hustle culture that we live in, we will take that time, that new time that we have allotted, the time to self-care, go to the gym, spend with your family, go read a book, go do something to work on yourself and say, I can do another hustle.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
can work another job. I'm gonna use this new time to go do something to further my income instead of saying, wait a minute, I make more.
Mhm.
I'm at a better place. I make more, which I may have made that much doing all this extra hours, but now that I make more and I'm kind of leveled out from where I was, why do I need to use this time to go make more money?
Because we
Because in
value
order for me to level up to the next level, that's my mindset. My mindset is use all the time that you can to make money. Because if you're not making money, you ever heard somebody say if you ain't making money, you spending money, or if you're not making money, you losing money? Like I've heard these
yeah.
terms over and over again, and it's just like, okay, okay, but at what point do you take the time to say, well, let me enjoy the money I made?
Right, right. You know one of the saddest things that I think in our culture and in hustle culture is that so many people trying to get the bag. And don't get me wrong, like I mean, because of the society that we created, you need money. But at what expense? Like yes, yes, you're gonna transfer something. There's gonna be some kind of sacrifice for you to make money. Like, I mean, you're not gonna just sit at home and sleep all day and make money. Even if you do, even if somebody's able to do that, that person has set up something. That person wrote a book. That person bought some real estate. That person did something, or somebody else did something on that person's behalf, right? To get there's some kind of sacrifice that needs to be made to make the money. But it's like, yeah, at what point do you sit up here and say, okay, well, this ain't worth chasing the bag? Like
You know
I
what's
need,
sad? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
like you said, like I need to be able to sit back and have some self-care. It's crazy to me that we live in this culture where, okay, everybody trying to reach $100,000. Well, shoot, but $100,000 ain't what it used to be. So now it's like 250. Like now everybody trying to reach 250. Everybody trying, and it's like, dude, don't you realize there's no end to that game?
Thank you.
There's no
Thank you.
there's no end to that game. And it's sad because we spend all this time, and listen, I'm guilty of it. You know, Granted, I had a family to provide for, but I'm guilty of it. Working 80, I was gonna say 80 plus hours, but nah, I think the most hours I worked was like 88. But we had people that was working like 80, 90, 100 hours. I'm
Hmm.
like, y'all, I can't do that. But it's like, you work all that time
Hmm.
for what? For the bag?
Yeah, for that bag. And what's even crazier is you spend that bag on stuff that you don't need, things that are just material that after you buy them, they don't hold their value anymore, not even to you. And now you back out chasing the bag again, or you letting somebody else spend that money for you. Whatever the case may be. This is the thing about chasing the bag is exactly what you said. $100,000 isn't what it used to be. $1 million isn't what it used to be. But now that you've gotten 100,000, it's almost like, you know what, I'm at 100,000. This doesn't feel good. I'm at 100,000. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel the way I thought. I don't just have the disposable income that I thought. Now let me go chase 1 million. You get to 1 million. Man, I thought 1 million was gonna feel a lot better than 100,000. I still don't have the disposable income I want. I need 100 million, and it keeps going because you're around different people. You're putting yourself in different brackets with, and you're always looking at the person who has the most, who has more than you, and saying, I'm going to compare myself to them. I've heard somebody saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
Right.
Comparison is the
Right.
thief of joy because you're always looking at what you don't have, what somebody else does. You have no clue what's going on in this person's life or what they value, but you value that because you don't have it or you haven't attained that yet. And for whatever reason in your mind, that needs to be the goal. That needs to be the standard that you need to set your priorities on to get there. And until you get there, you can't be happy. You can't be content. You got to hustle. And when does the hustle stop? When does you take a time to say, you know what? I got to breathe. And this is the sad thing. More times than not, it's when a health related issue pops up.
Yeah, because yeah. Well, that lets you know really how valuable money is. It's not really that valuable, you
No.
know, because if you ask anybody, hey, would you rather have $1 million? So here's the thought. Here's a thought test, right? Would you rather $1 million or your next breath? What do you want? How about a
I'm taking
billion?
my next breath.
How about a billion? How
Still
about
need my next breath.
$1 billion for your next breath? So you don't get no more breaths. Which one you want? You want the $1 billion or you want your breaths?
Now, you know what's funny? Somebody's going to sit there and try to ponder, how long can I hold my breath and be a billionaire?
Okay,
And
a minute,
somebody will.
a minute.
This is the whole thing. I know exactly what you're saying, but the way that we look at that, the way that we look at that is we put the value of money and the value of having things over the value of our own health and our own personal well-being, our mental health, especially.
Right.
And so here we are, depressed, suffering from anxiety, suffering from, whatever various different, mental illnesses are out there that are self-induced because of what we do to ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
here we are deteriorating from within, not paying attention to that. And that is just spiraling out of control while we chase that bag. But
Right.
but the chase for the bag doesn't stop. It just increases. And what decreases is our health. And what decreases is our livelihood, everything that self-care encompasses. But we
And
don't take the
the most important thing, time.
man, you don't get that back.
Time. Like time is the most valuable thing.
Break that down. Why is time the most valuable thing?
How much does a second cost?
It's just a second cost. Depends on who you ask, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, how much would you pay? All right. Same thing with the breaths, right? Let's say I take away your seconds. What would you rather? Seconds or $1 million?
Well, take my seconds.
Okay. How about seconds or $1 billion?
Take my seconds.
Okay. At what point will that second? So now you're seeing that the second is more valuable than a million because you'll take the second over a million. Okay. Would you take the second over a billion? You say yeah. Okay. At what point would you say I'll take the money over the time? So time is invaluable.
Time is invaluable.
There's no price. There's no price on time.
Just like breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because breathing equates to time, right? Like if you're not breathing, you ain't got much time. That's the whole point,
Great point. Great point. Yeah.
right? Time is the thing, but see, the problem with the hustle culture is we're sitting there hustling. You ain't got no time. See, I think we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok because we think, and people push this out that somehow we've left the slave system and slavery only exists in prison now. Our mindset is so screwed up. We don't understand. What's interesting to me as I watch what's happening in this society, I'm like, we are so lost. It's like you playing basketball with somebody who has no clue what they're doing. And you could play so many games with them. It becomes hilarious. It becomes funny. It's like you could do because you could do stuff with them and turn them around, and you're like this is a joke. Y'all don't even know you're so lost.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that, slavery has not ended. If you're an employee, that's the new word for slave.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new word. People are like, oh no, I'm an employee. You're a slave. And guess what? I am too. And look at any corporation.
Mm-hmm.
The CEO. Well, that's the master. Who gets paid the most money?
The owner,
Typically the master. Who does the least work?
the slave, the master. Sorry.
Typically the master.
Yeah.
Right? Now the master has people who oversee the business. Those are overseers. We just call them managers,
Mm-hmm.
supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
And there's levels to it.
Mm-hmm.
What are they overseeing? The slaves. Now, depending on what your job is, depends on what you are. You ain't picking cotton, but like if you working with people, your people are your cotton now. If you're selling cell phones, your cell phone is your cotton.
I think I know what you're saying. It's also because
We've never less that.
your time is accounted for too.
Well, yeah, that too.
I have to, as an employee, I have to put this many hours in, regardless of how I feel, regardless of what I got going on, to be able to keep the supervisor and the CEO, whatever, happy so that I keep my job, right?
Right. Right. And
Because if I, oh, go ahead.
you're gonna make a certain amount of money, right? That certain amount of money dictates where you live.
Yes.
You're not gonna make $20,000 and live in this $1 million neighborhood. You just not. So it dictates where you live. It also dictates where your kids go to school, because the schools are based on the you know and I know there's a lot of
The
gerrymandering
taxes
and all
from
that
the,
stuff.
from
Right,
the neighborhood.
right. So that right. So that goes into the taxes. But even before we get into the taxes, the neighborhood is dictated by your income, and your income, the neighborhood dictates what school you go to, because it's based on your zip code or whatever. That school gets funded by your neighborhood because of the income tax, because of the not
Land
income
tax,
taxes. Yeah. You know,
property tax.
property
Yeah.
taxes, right? So the property taxes goes into your schools. If you're in a neighborhood with 100,000 to $120,000 houses, then it's not a lot of taxes going to that school. So now your kids are set up for failure in the beginning. It's a system that was established, and then people say, "Well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps." What? You got to understand that this system is set up, and so all we're doing, we just a lot of times with the hustle culture, and this is why they love hustle culture. This is why they love to push it, because now all you're doing is saying, "Ah, man, I'm the hardest working slave."
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
okay,
hmm.
do that, because ultimately, who are you making rich? Last I checked, the slave ain't gonna get rich. It's gonna be Jeff Bezos.
Hmm.
It's gonna be Elon. Elon ain't rich now. Now, granted, Elon is a different beast because Elon does work a lot.
And how does he work?
Smart,
All right.
right? He works smart. He works a lot, but he works smart. But he's one of the few who, like, we gotta
So
understand.
Elon, let's take a look at him. So
Okay.
people don't even realize. So he invented PayPal
Okay.
and sold PayPal and for whatever amount of money, and then put all that into SpaceX way before Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Failed at SpaceX before Tesla, and then originally I should say, and then Tesla came about. You know what I mean? And the whole time, regardless of his failures, regardless of his setbacks, he looked at the next idea, the next thing, not how do I work so many hours to make up for anything? No, 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 no. Regardless of what happens, I'm looking at the next idea, the next big thing that could happen. So if you just look at how he goes from PayPal to SpaceX to Tesla to all these different developments and organizations that he has set up, it's not about how much time he put in working. It's about the time, what he did with his time. And he used his time thinking of implementing new ideas and okay, let's go with this. Let's go with this idea. Not let me work this many hours. I guess when you say he does work a lot of hours. Yes, he does work a lot of hours, but he works all those hours in creating ideas or I should say thinking of the next big thing or the next thing that is going to, boost, his different businesses in whatever way, which is I think the way that we need to work smart, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
if you're
that's
putting in
that's working
hours
smarter.
working smart, that looks a lot different than putting in all these hours working hard, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and what I'm saying is that we've we've not gotten out of that working hard mentality because we're still slaves. and we're
Yeah.
and we're okay with it. And see, my thing is that until you address something, until you look something in the face and call it what it is, then you're not going to be able to fix it. If you can't look at yourself and say, "Yeah, I'm an employee," what does that really mean? Because all right, the slaves were freed, right? And then what did they do? They was
They
free, but they couldn't go nowhere.
right.
So what did they do?
They
They went
sharecrop
right. They went right back to the slaves, to the
to
masters,
the masters. Yeah.
and they was like, all right, pay me a little bit of money. You know what I mean? And I'll keep slaving. All
Hmm.
right. Well, now guess what we doing? The same thing. Ain't nothing changed.
Mm.
We think slavery stopped. Slavery has not stopped, and it's not just in prison. The person who making $10 an hour, the person who making $20 an hour, person who making $30 an hour, person making $50 an hour. Guess what? I guarantee you, the master is making more. You know why? Because that's the way slavery works. I'm only going to pay you a portion of what my profit is. We're used to we are being, because we're used to being slaves and working so hard. It's become our curse.
Let me
We just
ask you
feel
this,
like
and I'm just trying to throw this in there. So, is it possible? Are you saying it's possible for everybody to be a master without having?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, but is it possible? Yes. Does it need to be? No, because here's my other thing, and people gonna hate me for this, for that, but whatever. I don't think slavery is bad. I don't think it's bad.
In what aspect do you they say it's not? You don't think it's bad? Well, who does it benefit for it not to be bad,
Who does it benefit for it not to be bad?
or what does it benefit for it not to be bad?
Okay, so if I have a passion for something,
Hmm.
right, and I am working in an organization is nothing but the plantation. So if I'm working on a plantation and it's fulfilling my purpose, and I do get a lot of personal gratification out of my job, then there's nothing wrong with being there. There's nothing wrong with being there. What's wrong with that? I don't here's the thing. I haven't thought I don't know of a better system.
So you're just saying you're a happy slave. So because
Yeah.
you're a happy slave,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I don't know of a better system. Ultimately somebody got to be slaves.
that's what I said. It. So how could it? How is it possible for everybody to be a master if nobody's if no?
No,
How is
no,
it?
no.
Okay.
Could you say could?
Could everyone be a master?
Yes. Would. No. Is it possible? Yeah. Think about it. Could everybody open up their own business individually? Is it possible?
Sure. Yes,
Okay.
if we broke it down to a service work, yes, is it possible?
Right. Right.
But at some point, you need somebody else. You need some type of vessel for your business or whatever to flourish.
No, but it'd be partners, right? So let's say I want to make t-shirts, right? I may want to partner with somebody who makes t-shirt, but that's my partner. That's not my employee. Now,
Okay, but if that's your partner, then who's the master of that?
they got their business. Like you asked me if it's possible. I'm saying it is possible. It won't happen. But if it could happen, this is how it would happen. Everybody would have their own whatever they do, they would own what they do.
Okay. I see where you're going with that. I just am looking at it like, you ever heard the saying, everybody wants to be a chief, nobody wants to be an Indian?
Yes.
And in order for there to be a chief, there has to be Indians.
Right.
Otherwise, there would not be a chief.
In our yes, but that's because of the system that we've created. And that's why I'm saying it would not happen. But that's the system that we've created, right? And so like
Well, that's capitalism. That's business. That's the
right.
system not that we created, that we live in.
Yes.
And
Well, we
because
created it. I mean,
well, yes,
when I say we, I
I know
mean
what you're
I
saying.
didn't create it, but
Western
you know what I'm saying.
ideology.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's a
So,
creation. Yeah.
but we've bought into the fact that that's success. That being able to
Yes.
be a CEO or own your own business and have employees under you. Don't not just I can go be the CEO standing on the corner selling
Right.
uh, a T-shirt I just made, but to have a thriving business that people work under you
Mhm.
and that you just collect, that
Right.
you are,
Yeah.
that's success, right?
Well,
Or financial success in the Western world, in the Western society.
but see, but listen to what you're saying. What you're saying is that success is having a bunch of slaves do all the work.
I'm not saying that's what success. I'm saying that Western ideology says that's what success is.
Right.
Capitalism says that's what success is.
Right. We have
Yes.
never changed. That is the system. That has never changed. That's the system. You could call it Apple. You can call it, man, you could say we're massaging, we're giving people massages. You could say we're selling burgers. At the end of the day, the master wants to create a business so that the slaves can work. And guess what? I don't know of a better system. Now, could everybody be independent? Yes. Would? No.
So before slavery came into existence, as we know it,
Mhm,
Western slavery, the system that was in place was indentured servants, right? I would come work for you
mhm.
for however many years it took until I paid off whatever was that needs to be paid off, and then I was promised either some land or part of my share of whatever the company was, or whatever was I was doing as an indentured servant. I am giving my services to you for an allotted amount of time for a return.
Yeah, you slave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slavery, there was no return to the slave. You just worked.
Some
There was never a land there was never anything that you're working towards to say, you know what, I'm gonna work this hard because at this point this comes back to me.
and how did some slaves earn their freedom?
How did some slaves earn it?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Well, for the few that were able to earn, the payments that they earned, I mean, how many slaves were actually paid, even that minimum? But to answer your question, some slaves paid for their freedom. You know what I mean? But what did they get back besides freedom?
The opportunity to either open up their own plantation, which some people did,
Some did. Okay.
or or the opportunity to be a slave again.
My question is, what was the return on investment to them besides freedom?
For who? For
For a
them?
slave that bought his freedom, paid his dues, and is now free, versus an indentured servant who paid his dues and now has something to show for it.
So okay. Um here's the thing. Like there were slaves who was able to buy their freedom.
There were.
Okay. They had something to show for it. They were free people. They could go and do whatever they wanted to do. They could go places. They could show their papers. Some of them, I mean, there's a bunch of different stories. I think what's his name? Didn't Frederick Douglass buy his freedom and then fought his slave master and all that?
Don't get why do I don't I why am I having a brain fart? Don't
Right.
quote
Listen,
me on
don't get
if he
me
bought if he
into the
don't get me
history and
lying
all
if he
that
bought
stuff.
his freedom, but he definitely fought his master and he definitely, spent his time up north. But
The point that I'm making is that nothing has changed, and whether or not the slaves were making a livable wage, it's the same argument today.
one
People
second,
aren't making a livable wage today.
let's go back for a second though. You said you couldn't think of a better system than slavery. What I'm telling you is that before slavery,
Yeah,
before absolute slavery, there was a system of indentured servants.
it's still
And it
slave.
was correct.
Yeah.
In this system of indentured service, let's just use the two different words though. Okay, let's separate them for a second because there were slaves at that time. There were, you know what I mean. This is I'm talking about when indentured servants were cut out and they just went to slavery. Right at that time, when there were indentured servants, these looked like every race, and it wasn't about race. It was about caste, if that made sense. You know what I mean? Like you were poor and you came and you worked for whichever individual was rich, and you were promised something afterwards. You were working towards some type of gain. You had the choice to become an indentured servant as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
There wasn't slavery. There's no choice. Okay, so I say all that to say people chose to become indentured servants, even if you want to call them slaves or not, that's fine. But people chose to become indentured servants because there was something profitable in the end. There was something that they gained in the end. There was
Right.
more than their freedom and now being able to go make profit.
Hmm.
If they so choose. No,
Okay.
they were working for an actual return on profit, whatever that was going to profit them. So I say that to say slavery cut that out and said, you know what? We're just going to have people work for us, period. And there'll be no return on their investment. There'll be no profit for them. They're going to work from sun up to sundown, be the hardest working slave, whatever type of slave you want to call them. And at the end, they get to go to sleep and wake back up and do the same thing and do that until they die.
Have
And you're
you
saying I mean, I see what you're saying, but what I'm saying is it would have been a lot if indentured servants were allowed to be instead of slavery. Even today, if we were to say, you know what, I'm going to work for this corporation, and at the end of it, I get this many stocks in this corporation, I get this much of a percent of this corporation. Wouldn't that be so much better than, okay, you're going to work for this corporation, and you know what? If you get fired, you get fired, and you have nothing to show for it other than the hours you work.
Have you ever worked for a good company?
Sure.
Treated their employees very well. Okay, match,
Sure.
stocks,
Sure.
good
Yes.
health care.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever worked for a company that was terrible? No 401k,
Sure.
no insurance,
Absolutely.
no stock options,
Yes.
no room to move up. That's no different. I think part of our issue is that we don't have full discussions on slavery. Like, we don't have full discussions on it because we think that every plantation was the same. We get this picture that every slave master took the biggest buck in on the plantation and put him up and whipped him in front of the whole plantation. And while that may have happened, that was not every plantation. There were actually some that you may have stock options, so to speak. There were
Hmm.
some that you could buy your freedom. There were some that probably paid better. There were some that kept families together. There was some that split families up. There was, like, it's not it's one of those things where it, like, even if you say now, man, all businesses suck. Well, is that true? No. There are some businesses, so for example, Amazon is one of them. They stopped the stock options, but back when I was working there, you did get stock. When you worked there, they gave you stock. You didn't buy it. They gave it to you. They gave you free stock options. They gave you, the healthcare was great. Like, they gave employees, slaves, a lot of stuff. And so there are good plantations and there are bad plantations. There are good slave masters and there's bad slave masters. And what I'm saying is, I know people ain't gonna like the terminology. Why you calling me a slave? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. If you're an employee, yes. We just changed the term. Well, I ain't got no daggone master. Well, okay, fine. Call him a CEO. Fine. Whatever you want to call him. But
Be careful,
the
because
structure has not changed. You can change the name, but the structure hasn't changed.
okay. Okay. I totally agree I agree with your foundation here. Absolutely. The structure has not changed. Does that mean that while the structure has not changed, that the way that it operates, the way that you in to say modern day slavery operates, is that based off the same system,
Yes.
modern day?
100%. 100%.
Okay. So if that's based off the same system, right? Then today as employees, do we get to pick the plantation that we work for?
We do, for the most part. For
Okay.
the most part.
All
Yeah.
right. Do we
Obviously,
get
there's
to
some nuances in there, but for the most part, yeah.
do if we don't like that plantation, can we leave it?
For the most part, yes.
Is somebody come look for us if we decide to leave it?
No.
Okay. Do I have to have paperwork saying that, you know what, I'm able to work for you guys because of this?
Yes.
Okay. Take away degrees. Take away degree. I should have asked that in a different way. Yes, we do. Okay. What I'm saying is that in the system that we have today,
Mhm.
we still have the choice to work hard or not to work hard.
Yes.
We have the choice to say, I like this job and I'm going to stick with this job, or I don't like this job and I'm not going to stick with this job. There are consequences and repercussions to say, oh, you know what, this job is going to penalize me because I'm deciding to leave it. Besides the military, all right,
You say,
yeah,
like
yeah,
like
besides the
not like
military.
like,
But I'm
no, a
just saying,
job.
we're just talking about modern day business, just
Mhm.
modern day, so there are different aspects, there are different things that, while the structure I see is the same, it doesn't operate the same way. And why I say that is, people have been employees and then become entrepreneurs. People have been employees and then have taken ownership of the company. It doesn't keep you in a almost like in India, there's a caste system. If you're, the caste system
Yeah,
in India, if
yeah,
you're born poor, you're always going to be poor. You're never going to come out of being poor.
right.
If you're born
Which is
rich,
not
yeah,
right,
go ahead.
right. But you said there's people that come out of being an employee and like
Hmm.
own the business, right?
Sure.
There's slaves that have come out of being slaves and own the plantation. That happened too. It wasn't common, and that's not the story that we always hear, but it was possible.
Were
Just
there
like
freed slaves that went back like Amistad and started selling slaves? Yes,
that
absolutely.
happened too.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
There's many things. Are there poor people that can save their way to $1 million? Sure. Yeah. It takes a long time, but sure. Yeah, it could. It's possible. Is it going to happen to most people? No. No,
No,
it's not.
no, 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 no.
So
I guess my thing is though, is there an option? Is that option available? Though it's not going to happen to most people, though it's few and far between who will be able to attain that,
mhm.
is the possibility to attain that there?
Yes, but the possibility was there in slavery too for some people.
Okay, across the board in our economy is
No,
the
no, it's
possibility.
not. No, it's not across the board.
So if you're born in this economy poor, that's how you're going to stay.
Okay, so the problem is like
I should
there's a
say
lot of
that's how you have to stay. Sorry.
there's a lot of nuances to it because people who were born in slavery, not everybody stayed a slave. And so what I'm saying, it's the same system. So no, you don't have to stay that way, but you didn't have to stay. Everybody didn't have to stay a slave either.
Yeah,
Now,
I
are there? I would agree that there's more opportunities, more flexibility now.
sure,
Yes,
sure.
but that doesn't mean. But there's also way more plantations now. McDonald's is a plantation. Amazon is a plantation. Like there's way more opportunities if you don't want to call them plantations or jobs. There's way more jobs than it was back then. Back then, if you was a sharecropper, you had a plantation you could go to, that plantation, and maybe a third plantation down the road. That was it. But as a sharecropper, you were pretty independent. Most sharecroppers were modern day entrepreneurs. That's why I could work your field, I could work that field, and I could work that field. They were modern day entrepreneurs. What did they do? If I'm picking tobacco and this tobacco adds up to $100, I get 10 of those dollars. The house gets the other 90 and does whatever it does with it, and I get 10 of those dollars. I go over there. If I pick $100 worth of tobacco, I get 10 of those dollars, and the house gets 90. That's the same thing we do today. There's nobody in any business that's going to pay you more than what your output is. So if your job doesn't bring in more than $100,000 worth of revenue, you ain't getting no $100,000. It's impossible.
So what system in the world is not like that currently?
Currently, I don't know. Listen. I'm not an expert in this stuff, right? So I'm just looking at it from a logical standpoint,
Okay.
and I don't know any system. And my thing is like, if we're going to be honest, if we're gonna, because we're talking about hustling for what? We need to be honest about where we at, not only as a people but as a society. And then because if I guarantee you, if you change the word employee to slaves, I guarantee you everybody would have a different mindset overnight. But we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled to believe that we're employees and not slaves. And
Well,
it's
be
like,
careful. You don't want people going in and work tomorrow telling all these supervisor managers, you ain't my overseer.
yeah, man, they can do whatever they want to do.
True.
But but show me where I'm off, and maybe I am, But what I'm saying is that the structure is the same. I'm not saying that the structure hasn't gotten better. I'm not saying that the execution hasn't gotten better. I'm also saying that I don't know a better system, but it's still that system.
Well, I mean,
Ain't much changed. The slaves got pennies on the dollar. We get pennies on the
we
dollar.
don't know a better system because we haven't seen a better system. We haven't
That's
seen a
what I'm
different
saying.
system. We haven't seen
That's
a
what I'm saying.
different system. This is the system that we know, and I mean, as far as I know, globally, that's pretty much consistent globally.
Mhm.
Besides caste systems.
Right. And that's why so many people like pushing socialism now, because they see it and they're like, yo, this is like slavery. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's the same system. And so that's why you see a lot of people pushing for socialism, but it's like, okay, well, yeah, but socialism didn't work either. So I mean, I know y'all want to go to like something that's fair, but that doesn't work in places either. So this is the best system that we have, and until we come up with a better system, well, then we got what we got. And I'm not against being a slave or an employee or whatever you want to call it, because ultimately I think it's necessary, especially if you're going to do anything at scale. So think about it. Everybody could start their own business. Everybody could. It is possible. But how many t-shirts you going to sell when you got to make your t-shirts? And you got to go make the sale and you got to drop them off. How many t-shirts are you going to sell? Probably not enough for you to really make a good living. So that's why it won't happen, because now I need to scale. And so in order for me to scale, guess what I need? I need an employee. Now you could have partners. You could do that. And like in law firms, they don't call the lawyers employees. What they call them? Partners. And then the partners has employees.
Why don't you have to make partner?
So, yeah,
Yeah, but
yes,
okay, I see
yeah.
what you're saying.
But they like they're partners, and then they have paralegals or whatever who are the employees. So I mean it all I'm saying, and I know we got on this slavery stuff.
It happens. It
And
happens. It
and
happens.
and but what I'm saying is that the system has never changed, and we don't get that. We've been doing is trying to out hustle the next slave, and it's like, dude,
Yes.
this whole hustle culture is a masquerade. It's an illusion. Like we're hustling for the wrong thing. It's all out of whack.
Bam! You just hit the nail on the head. We're hustling for the wrong things.
Yeah.
I don't think that the hustle is necessarily the problem. It's what we're hustling for.
Yes.
That's the issue. It's hustling for all these material things that mean nothing, that are being thrown out into society saying these aren't wants, these are needs. You
Mm-hmm.
need to have this car. And when this car comes out, you need to be able to afford that car next. And you need to have this house. And then guess what? When this house is finished being built, you need to be able to afford this house. And you need to have this amount of money. And guess what? When you have that amount of money, it's not good enough anymore. You need to have this amount of money. We've bought into that.
Mm-hmm.
We have bought into consumerism. We have bought into capitalism, thinking that that is the best system for us, which is the problem. So instead of saying, you know what, let's keep the families together. Let's keep the money in house. Instead of everybody needing to live by themselves and be in debt because they're trying to look like they can do it all on their own, let's keep the family dynamic together and do what some people are doing right now. I won't even say it, but live in this house. All of us live in this house, and then we buy the house next door.
Yes.
And then let's all move a couple of us over there, and then let's buy the house next door to that. There's people doing that.
And see, they understand. Listen. They'll do that, and guess what they'll do?
Own the
They'll
whole
they'll
street and the whole neighborhood.
and they'll play both sides. See, they're
Yes.
hustling. They're hustling, but they're saying, "All right, cool. I'll be your slave. I'll be your slave. I will. I'll be your slave." As I'm doing that, I'm also going to open up my plantation over here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm gonna and I may be your slave. I may be your employee. I know people gonna get triggered or whatever. I'll be your employee. I'm gonna learn this business for 5 years, and guess what I'm gonna do after them 5 years?
Open up. My
Open up
own
my
business
own
is even
business.
better than yours.
I'm gonna open up my own plantation. I'm gonna open up my own business, and then I'm gonna hire. And yes, I'm gonna do it better because I see stuff that you didn't see because you running the business, you weren't doing the business. So I'm seeing stuff that you didn't see. So I'm gonna implement it, and I'm gonna make my business better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and meanwhile, we're sticking together as we're breaking generational curses so that my kids and it's the long game. It's
But
the
you hit the nail on the head. Your kids see that. Why? Because there's a family there. It's not you. Oh no, you can't be with the woman since you still trying to figure it out. And no, what? No, this is the perfect time to have a family. This is the perfect time to have the family dynamic be together. Is while we're struggling in the midst of that. You
yes,
know, that's what it's all
that's when
about.
you need the family.
Yes,
You don't need the
yes,
family when everybody balling out like nothing.
right,
Like
exactly. And
we
that
need we need the family when we could put our pennies together. Not when we got millions of dollars. It's like, all right, at that point we good.
That's it right there. That's why we are hustling backwards. Because
We
exactly what you
yes,
said, it's for
hustling.
all the wrong reasons. We're trying to do it independently instead of collectively. We're doing it without the family unit and saying, even to have a family, you gotta be at this, and that. Well, you're never gonna get to this, and that unless you start here and let this be the nucleus.
And it's sad because we know this. Like if we sit back and really think about it, like I think most people know. Well, like what I'm saying may be triggering to some people, right? They're like, man, I ain't no daggone slave, man. He keep calling us slave. I ain't no more slave. Like like I can quit my job. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, but you're missing the point. You're missing the point. You can run off of that plantation and the police won't come find you and shoot you. Well, I mean, they won't find you and shoot you for leaving. They'll
allegedly,
find you. They're trying to find you
allegedly.
and shoot you for something else, right? But 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 yes, you could do that because there's more opportunities. But it's still the same system.
Mm,
Everywhere you go is going to be the same system. And so instead of understanding that, which I'm not going to say all of us don't understand that because some of us do. Some of us do a very good job, but then we don't support the people who do that, and then we beat each other up for doing that. It's funny because we, on one hand, like we know this, but then when somebody gets off the plantation and starts their own business and starts getting employees, they like, man, I ain't working for you.
mm.
Like, okay, so you'll rather be the employee over there than that
Right.
the employee over here.
Yeah, that's sad right there.
And
That
it's
is
like
sad.
over here you could profit share. Over here you could help build this business. Over here you could grow with the business. And when we grow, you grow and you could be a partner. Over here, you're just an employee, but you'd rather be an employee.
Yes, because we don't celebrate each other. We do not celebrate each other's
Oh,
wins. We will not, and we will not help each other to win. We will actually will do the exact opposite and not support. You know what I mean? When it's helping us out to support, we will not do that just so that they can't win, which
because
is
and see,
crazy.
this is why I'm saying slavery. This is the problem. Like we don't understand how deeply rooted slavery still is in us. It's still in us. And so the reason why we can't get together and do that is because we've been taught to hate each other. We've been taught to hate each
Man,
other.
oh my gosh.
And guess what? It didn't start yesterday. It didn't start with Trump.
Hmm.
It didn't start with Obama. It did Guess what? This thing go back. You gotta
Systematically and
yes.
methodically.
And not only because you also gotta understand how hatred works and how trauma gets passed down. Like you realize you could pass down the effects of trauma without somebody actually having the trauma,
Hmm.
right? And so we have essentially passed down the effects of slavery over time without the shackles and chains.
Mm,
And so that's why we still, even in our culture, we still got this colorism issue. Dark skin versus light
yeah.
skin. You know what I mean? House Negro versus field Negro. Like we still have these um differences. And then even when you get somebody who's in the field who wants to go off and start their own thing, then you got to snitch on them.
Well, just look at women and men competing with each other in our society, in our
Mm.
culture. Do you see what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
I mean, that was taught. That's not,
Yeah.
it's not natural. Does that make sense? Like that was part of passed down trauma, which is why we are competing with each other instead of supporting each other to this day.
Well, the thing about that is that, and the bad thing about that is going back to slavery. I hate to say it this way, but women have a right to compete with us. But what they don't understand, what most men don't understand this either, is that this has been traced from slavery. If I couldn't protect you in slavery, you got to understand, if the African American female was raped, and guess who could not save her?
The African American male.
So at a very early age in slavery, guess what you're starting to learn? He can't save me.
Mm.
The black man can't save me. Who can save you? There's only one person that can save you. White Jesus. Or I mean the white man. and, and so in your brain, so now we wonder why our black women are fighting against the black man. Well, because now the black man is standing up trying to say, yeah, I could save you, I could protect you. And a black woman is saying, you ain't never protected me.
Mm.
You ain't protect me back then. So no, you can't protect me now. And so we still got this battle that started back then. Listen, there's Dr. Joy DeGruy. She talked about post-traumatic slave syndrome. And she talks about how all the effects of slavery, maybe not all, but the majority of effects of slavery still are present today. And the reason why is because one, no therapists out there talking to the slaves. Slaves didn't get in therapy. Slaves got raped. Slaves got brutalized. And granted, not in all plantations, right? So you got to make that clear. But a lot of slaves got raped. These are the stories that we hear. And so part of the reason for those stories being passed down is to pass down the generational trauma, right? We don't hear about the story. We don't hear about good stories. You know why? They don't want to pass down success.
No, yes, correct. You're never going to hear riches in the history of African Americans or in the history of
Yeah.
Africans. You'll never hear Mansa Musa. You'll never hear about that.
Man, don't nobody know who Mansa Musa is, man, and they don't want you to know because they want to continue passing down the generational trauma that that's constantly affecting us, and we don't see it, man. Like this game is so far above our head, like we don't even recognize the games that's being played with us. And it's not even there was what's the dude name? Let me see if I can find it. What's his name? The actor, comedian George Carlin, right? He said something like, dang, I'm gonna have to find it now. What's his name? The white dude, George Carlin.
Carlin. Yeah.
What's the line with conspiracy? He said, conspiracy is not needed when something like, dang, I forgot how he said it. Oh, hold up.
The energy policies.
Can you hear this?
Yes.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can do something. I'm gonna play a little technology game. We're gonna see how this thing work real quick. What? Let's see if I could do something real quick. No, it ain't working. Gosh darn it. All right, but can you hear it if I play it though?
The energy policies that were created here in California, not as a result of a conspiracy, but because...
You don't need a formal conspiracy.
Right.
When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them. It's getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are now 3. It will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political political parties. There are a handful of insurance companies. There are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need conspiracy where everybody's in personal things align, and that's it. Anyway, that was, I forgot why I brought that point up, but
Got you.
You're frozen.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, now that you said that, it just froze.
Oh, you've been frozen on my end.
Well, we're gonna have to pick this up. I don't know what's going on. It's still frozen?
Yeah. What's yours?
I do not know, brother. It says it is not responding. Yeah, there's something going on. That's on my end, brother. All right, we're gonna have to end it here then. We gotta do a continuation though, bro.
Okay.
We'll do a continuation. We need to do a part 2 on this for next time. Can we do that for next week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's continue it from here and let's kind of bookmark.
Because I had some videos I wanted to pull in too, because I was like, there's a couple of things that I know we got kind of stuck on the slavery and the system and all of that, but there's also some other things that we need to be talking about with this hustle culture, because it's not good for us. It's not good that we're hustling in the direction that we are, and so we need to get better. We need to get better. We need to get organized. We need to get we need to get better.
Yeah.
We need to get better, right? And at playing this game, if we're gonna play this game or change the game.
Sure.
And we still playing checkers.
Still playing checkers.
In a game of chess. And it's like, either change the game or learn how to play chess. That's where I'm at.
And on that note.
All right, bro.
Listen. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, you frozen, but it's all right. It's cool. I can still hear you, so I mean.
Okay. Okay.
You got your little G. You frozen on your GQ, but you know what I mean? It's cool.
I don't know what. I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen for next time. But the screen. So will it? Well, I mean, you can say you can still hear me though, right? We can edit that. All right, brother. Well, this was a good one.
Yeah.
We got to do a part 2. We got to make that part 2.
I'm stopping it there. Hold on.
Yeah, he can barely talking about, man, he's got 2 Golden Globes and Oscar nominated twice, and he can't even, because of systematic racism. Yeah. Can you please keep that queued for next didn't work. Reconvene for next Wednesday. Now, man, my whole thing is frozen right now. I got just a black screen. I don't know. I can hear you. I just can't do anything. My computer froze. Yeah, I don't think we can do that yet. Okay. Sure. Sweet. That's hey, we got a foundation. We got a structure. Start putting it out there. All right, my brother. I will talk to you soon then. All right, late, bro. Peace.